これは本なんです。私は日本人なんです。何をしているんですか？ What is this んです。Why don't you just say これは本です。私は日本人です。何をしていますか？ What is the difference between 私は日本人です and 私は日本人なんです。What is this んです。This んです is used when you are explaining something that you want to tell or the other person doesn't know. When I say 私は日本人なんです I say it as if you don't know that I'm a Japanese. If I say これは本なんです I'm saying this as if you don't know that this is a book. I'm explaining something that you don't know. There are basically three situations where you use this です. The first one is when you are explaining something that the other person doesn't know. And the second situation you use this is when you are explaining a circumstance to clarify a situation. For example, say I'm walking on the street with my little sister and we bumped into my coworker. My coworker saw us talking intimately, so that person thought we were a couple. And I knew that my coworker has a wrong idea, so I used んです to explain, saying 彼女じゃないんです。妹なんです。Actually, she's not my girlfriend. Actually, she's my little sister. This んです has similar feeling to this English actually. Actually, she's not my girlfriend. I will say 彼女じゃないんです。Actually, she's my little sister. 妹なんです。なんです carries this feeling of, oh, let me explain. Let me explain the situation to you. If I just say 彼女じゃないです。妹です。Then it is like, she's not my girlfriend. She's my little sister. Do you see the difference? Oh, actually, she's not my girlfriend. And she's not my girlfriend. Actually, she's my little sister. She's my little sister. Or imagine a situation, for example, I'm crying. And you saw me crying, you might ask me, hey, what's wrong? When you ask me what's wrong, I'm explaining what happens. So which means I'm explaining the situation right now. In this case, I will say, 彼女に振られたんです。I use んです to explain the situation to you. So the second situation you use ん is you use it to clarify a situation. Use it to explain a circumstance to clarify a situation. And the third situation where you use this んです is when you confess something or when you tell someone something that you have never told that person before. For example, I haven't told you before. 実は私、吸血鬼なんです。Actually, I'm a vampire. So I say this when everyone doesn't know that I'm a vampire. Well, I haven't told you this. Actually, I'm vampire. So if I say, 私は吸血鬼です。It's just introducing yourself. Hi, I'm a vampire. And when you say, 私は吸血鬼なんです。It's like, I haven't told you this. Actually, I'm a vampire. Or this です is often used, for example, when you tell someone that you like this person for the first time. Oh, I haven't told you this. I like you. In this kind of situation, you also use です。好きなんです。If you just say 好きです, you're just saying it. I like you. If you say 好きなんです, it's like, actually, I like you. Or you may not know. I like you. This kind of feeling. 私実は昨日人を殺したんです。んですか is also used when you ask a question. When you use んですかwhen you ask a question, it has a feeling of I want to know or would you explain? It is used when you seek explanation from someone. Let's compare these two sentences. 何をしていますか? 何をしているんですか? When I say 何をしていますか, I'm just asking, what are you doing? But if I say 何をしているんですか, as if I'm saying it in English, hey, what are you doing? Do you see the difference? When I say 何をしているんですか, it has a feeling of, hey, like I want to know, or would you explain what are you doing? So when you, for example, when you make a phone call and ask your friend, hey, what's up? What are you doing now? In this kind of situation, you would just say, 何をしていますか? You wouldn't say, 何をしているんですか? Because in English, isn't it weird? Someone call you and says like, hey, what are you doing? If I say, hey, what are you doing? I sound like as if you've done something wrong, isn't it? Hey, what are you doing? What have you done? If I see someone breaking into my car, I would say, 何をしているんですか? Like in English saying, hey, what are you doing? You wouldn't just say, hey, what are you doing? It's like, hey, what are you doing? In this situation, 何をしているんですか? Because I'm seeking explanation from this person. Hey, what are you doing? You can also ask question like, what is 1 plus 1? You don't ask this question to know the answer, right? You know the answer. But when you want to just casually ask question, hey, what is 1 plus 1? Then you would just say, 1たす1は何ですか? But if I say, 1たす1は何なんですか? I'm saying this as if I'm seeking explanation. Hey, what is 1 plus 1? Would you explain? I bump into you on the street and ask you, hey, where are you going? In this situation, I would say, どこに行きますか? But if I want to put a bit more emotion, like I want to know, like, hey, where are you going? I want to know, hey, where are you going? In this situation, I will use んですか? どこに行くんですか? So let's compare, huh? どこに行きますか? どこに行くんですか? It's like, hey, where are you going? Hey, where are you going? Would you tell me? So when you ask question using んで, it can have like, would you tell me? Would you explain? Or I want to know. There is also another situation where you use this んです to ask question. You use this when you are surprised or something you didn't expect happen. For example, I'm eating lunch with you and you picked a spider and ate it. I'm surprised. I never thought you would eat a spider. I would say, hey, did you just eat spider? In this situation, I also use んですか to ask question. 今、雲を食べたんですか? If I just say, 雲を食べましたか? It's like, oh, did you eat spider? If I say, 雲を食べたんですか? Did you eat spider? Can have this like surprised or I didn't expect it kind of feeling. When a friend came over to your place and you had dinner and you're drinking with the person, you already kind of got tired, so you want this person to go home. But you feel uncomfortable to just tell him, oh, it's about time to go home. So you are waiting for this person to say, oh, I'm going back home now. In this situation, when this person finally said, oh, I'm going home now, you might say, もう帰るんですか? Oh, you're going home? As if you were surprised. Oh, you're going home? I didn't expect this. Really? もうそろそろ帰ります。帰るんですか? I'm going home. Oh, really? You're going home? Huh? Oh, it's a shame you're going home, huh? There's also one thing I need to mention. This んです is a polite form. When you want to say in casual form, you would just say の or んだ. So when I say 私は日本人なんです. Well, なんです is a polite form. So instead, you might say 私は日本人なの or 私は日本人なんだ. But this no is usually used by women and なんだ is usually used by men. When you ask question, you cannot ask question using んだ. 何をしているんですか? You cannot say 何をしているんだ? In this situation, usually you would just say 何をしているの? In this situation, men and women both use this no when you ask question. 何をしているの? 皆さん、理解できましたか? 理解できたんですか? わかりましたか? わかったんですか? それでは皆さん、また次回お会いしましょう。また会うんですか? I'm sorry, there's one thing I forgot to mention. We use んです before we ask for a question or before we ask for a favor to clarify the situation you are in. For example, I'm lost. I don't know how to get to the station. So on the street, I want to find someone to tell me how to get to the station. In this situation, I don't start conversation by asking how to get to the station. I might say, I'm sorry, I'm lost. I don't know how to get to the station. Would you tell me? Like this. So to clarify the situation I'm in, I will use んです to clarify the situation. 駅に行きたいんですが、行き方を教えてもらえませんか? Or for example, I might want to ask my friend, do you know where's the best ramen place here? So I may say, you know what, my situation is like this. I've been looking forward to eat ramen in Sapporo. I really want to eat ramen here. So do you know the best ramen shop here in Sapporo? In this kind of situation, when I clarify my situation, I use んですが before I ask the question. 札幌ラーメンずっと食べたかったんですが、どこかいい店教えてもらえませんか? Like this. So one thing you should remember is many Japanese people use んですが, usually put が, んですが before they ask question or before they ask for a favor.